Pistons just showed exactly why they're the #1 seed in the East. This was a much different Detroit team than we saw in Game 1. They were obviously making a point of matching and even exceeding Orlando's physicality on the defensive end, and in that first quarter, especially being intentional about pushing the tempo off of turnovers and defensive rebounds. Got a lot of easy buckets and transition that way. Orlando did not have a great answer in that first quarter. Magic were able to stay in the game through that first quarter just by getting to the free throw line. They've been the best in the league at that all season. That is something Detroit has to be better about containing moving forward, because they did have an opportunity to break the game open right away in that first quarter, but the Magic kept it within striking distance again by being able to get to the line. Early on in this game, we saw Jalen Duren and Wendell Carter matching up a lot. That is a crucial matchup for both sides. Pistons need more offense from their #2 option, and if Orlando can shut down Jalen Duren like they have for the most part through these first two games, they do still stand a fighting chance in this series. If Detroit is able to get Duren going, whether or not that is against Carter or not, they do stand a much better chance of dominating the rest of the series. We saw them dominate last night anyways, even with Jalen Duren still not being as good as we have seen him be all season long. But if they can get him going even more, they should just have a much easier time in the rest of this series. In the second quarter, we really saw both defenses settle in. The game became a half-court affair for nearly those whole 12 minutes. Not many fast break or transition opportunities, which is going to favor the Magic. Orlando's not a team that often gets out and pushes the ball in transition. They are a pretty slow team pace-wise. If they're able to get Detroit to play at their tempo, that is going to favor them much more than it is the Pistons. We obviously saw that get away from them in the second half, but throughout the first half, they still did a pretty good job of maintaining that game plan. Through the end of the first half, we had a tied game. Jalen Suggs was doing the heavy lifting for the Magic, with Desmond Bane and Franz Wagner not really being anywhere to be found. And then on the Pistons side, again, Cade doing the heavy lifting, expecting to see that all series long, and Jalen Duren really had still not found anything. He did pick it up a bit in the second half, like the whole Pistons team did. Pistons went on a 30-3 run in the third quarter. It's going to be nearly impossible for Orlando to recover from that. They did make it a somewhat closer game heading down the stretch in that fourth quarter, but that third quarter really did put the game away, and in my mind puts Detroit firmly back into control of this series. They really did get their mojo back and show why they deserve the 1 seed, while we just saw why Orlando slipped into the play-in. Obviously, the injuries all season long have not been ideal for them, but there are lots of times when their offense just completely stagnates. They can't get anything going. We saw that last night, especially against a team with a defense as good as the Pistons. That is going to be an awful matchup for the Magic. Detroit's offense can also stall at times, but with Cade running the playmaking duties, you even have Dennis Jenkins coming off the bench. They do have much more offensive firepower to provide some consistent form of offense. The Magic really don't have that in any consistent capacity, and so we saw that last night during that third quarter. Lots of avoidable turnovers. They really just got flustered. The energy in that arena was popping. Great rebound for the Pistons. On that note, the variable that is going to most determine the direction that this series ends up going in is Orlando's offense. We know that both defenses are capable of holding the other team to around 100 points, so it does come down to whether or not Orlando is able to get to that 100-point threshold on offense, make it a tight game, and then potentially have some late game execution where they're able to pull away with a win. Last night, we saw them end up on 83 points. That's simply never going to cut it. They're never going to hold the Pistons to a score that low. So they do need to be getting up around the 100-point threshold, which is going to be an issue. We've seen their shooting struggles all season long. In my mind, there's no reason for Orlando to be shooting 32 threes in a game. That's not their game. They shot 25%. They only made 8 of them. That's not good efficiency in the slightest. Obviously, those are going to be some of the easiest looks Detroit is willing to give up. And Orlando does have a few capable shooters, Desmond Bane especially, but they really should not be relying on that as any consistent form of offense. Any three-pointers they make should be added on top of what their main form of offense should be, which should just be pummeling the paint, getting to the line as much as possible. Detroit has not really found out a way to stop them getting to the free throw line. If they can get either of the Detroit bigs into foul trouble or Asar Thompson, that is going to take pressure off of everyone else. Less on-ball pressure coming from the Pistons can only help the Magic. Game 1 was all about Orlando's defense making Detroit uncomfortable, and we saw a complete role reversal in Game 2, particularly in the second half and that third quarter from Detroit. If they play that way, or even at a similar level for Games 3 and 4, they should have no issues coming back to Detroit with an issue to put this series away. Amazing response from the Pistons. They still haven't really gotten Jalen Duren going yet. Tobias Harris has been their second best player in this series, which is not something most people probably anticipated coming into this matchup, but amazing rebound from the Pistons. This did look much more like the Orlando Magic team we've been seeing all season. Consistent effort on the defensive end, but the offensive game is just lagging behind tremendously. If nothing changes, I think this one is going to be over in 5. I do think Orlando can bounce back to an extent and pull out another game. It's likely going to be close. I don't think that they'll have another double-digit win like they did in Game 1, but I do think that they pull out one more win, so I am going to stick with this series going to the Pistons in 6.